All right, let's dive into this really incredible project. It's a tiny house down in Orlando, Florida, but it's one that completely redefines what sustainable living can even look like. We're going to break down how this tiny little structure functions less like a building and, more like a complete self-sufficient ecosystem. First up, let's talk about the cost. Get this. The total price to build the entire structure was under $1,500. That's not a typo, that's the full price tag for the whole thing. And now just try to picture the size. We're talking about 100 square feet. That's it, just 10 feet by 10 feet. And that tiny footprint is totally intentional. It's designed to push you to live life outdoors, in the garden, in the community, not just cooped up inside four walls. And here's what's maybe the most remarkable part. 99% of this home was built using secondhand and repurposed stuff. This idea of reusing everything is absolutely central to the project. It cuts down on waste and cost right from the get-go. So the key thing to really get here is that this is so much more than a cool money-saving project. It's a living, breathing experiment in creating a completely self-sufficient ecosystem where absolutely nothing is wasted and every single output becomes a useful input somewhere else. Okay, so let's start with the foundation of the whole thing, the house itself. We're going to look at how it was built and the pretty radical philosophy behind its entire construction. The builder, Rob Greenfield, he gets this question all the time, and his answer is, yeah, pretty much. He intentionally designed it to look just like a shed, because that kind of simple design often falls within basic building codes, which makes a project like this way more accessible. And this idea of radical repurposing, it is in every single detail. I mean, just look at this. The floors, they were salvaged from a house that flooded. The bed frame is literally made from leftover wood scraps. That desk is built from old shipping pallets, and even the walls are covered in leftover burlap from some old craft project. It's amazing. Nothing, and I mean nothing, goes to waste. So that's the house itself. But if the structure is the foundation, then the real engine driving this whole system, well, that's the food. So for the 2 years he's living here, Rob's on this massive mission, and it's an ambitious one. He wants to be completely food sovereign. What does that mean? It means growing or foraging every single thing he eats for one entire year. No grocery stores, just complete control over his food source. So how in the world does he pull that off? Well, it comes down to a few key systems. You've got the gardens, obviously, but you also need a deep chest freezer for long-term storage, a fermentation station to preserve harvest as things like kombucha or vinegar, and he even has beehives right on site for a totally sustainable sweetener. And just to give you an idea of the kind of productivity we're talking about here, a single harvest from his bees gave him 75 pounds of honey. 75 pounds. That is an incredible amount of food from such a small-scale system. Okay, next up, let's look at how this living system manages the essential inputs that any home needs, right? We're talking about energy for cooking and power, and water for drinking and washing. For cooking, he actually has 4 different ways to do it. Yeah, he started with a basic propane camp stove, but the real goal is to ditch that fossil fuel completely. So his renewable options are a solar oven, a wood fire pit, and the most ingenious one of all, a home biogas stove. And trust me, we'll see exactly how that works in a bit. So here's something interesting. You'd think the plan would be to go completely off-grid, right? But his electricity needs are so minimal. We're talking just enough to power a chest freezer and a few small things that it only adds up to about $100 a year. So, for a temporary 2-year project, it just made more sense to run an extension cord than to install a huge solar system. His water system is just beautifully simple and effective. Rain falls on the roof, it flows into a gutter, down a cool little rain chain, and it collects in a series of connected barrels. And for drinking, he just runs that collected water through a really high-quality Berkey filter, and boom, it's perfectly safe and delicious. Okay, now this is where the whole living system idea gets really powerful. In this section, we're going to see how things that we would normally call waste, like food scraps, dirty water, even human waste, get transformed back into valuable resources. So remember that biogas stove I mentioned? Here's how it works. Food scraps get fed into this large digester that basically acts like a giant stomach. Bacteria inside break down all that waste, and a byproduct of their digestion is methane gas. That gas is then captured in a bladder and piped straight to the kitchen. You're literally turning last night's dinner prep into tonight's cooking fuel. And the resourcefulness just keeps going at the outdoor sink. He only uses biodegradable soap, so all the gray water from washing dishes and hands doesn't go down a drain to a sewage plant. Nope. Instead, it's piped directly out to a patch of banana trees, which love water, irrigating them and helping to grow even more food. Now, this might be the ultimate example of a closed loop. The composting toilet safely transforms human waste into a resource. The urine is diluted and used as fertilizer. The solids are covered with sawdust, which completely eliminates any smell, and then it all gets composted for a full year. After that, it's a safe, nutrient-rich soil that he uses to fertilize his fruit trees. I mean, what a contrast to our modern systems that use tons of clean drinking water just to flush valuable nutrients away. And just when you think he's closed every loop possible, he doesn't buy toilet paper, he grows it. This plant, the blue spurflower, is in the mint family, and it has these big, incredibly soft leaves that work perfectly. And of course, they get composted right back into the system. All right, so for our last section, let's zoom all the way out and look at the social and economic ideas that make this whole project possible. Because the innovation here isn't just ecological, it's also about community and a different way of thinking. So you might be wondering, does Rob own this land? Does he pay rent? No to both. The entire project is based on a work exchange. He got to live on the property for free for 2 years, and in return, he built this entire self-sufficient homestead for the owner, teaching her the skills as he went. When he leaves, she inherits a fully functional urban farm. It's a total win-win. This whole arrangement is just a perfect, real-world example of a symbiotic relationship. It's not about a money transaction. Instead, it's two people working together to meet each other's needs. One needed land and a place to build a vision, and the other wanted to learn how to live that vision. And really, that's the big takeaway. This project forces us to look beyond our trash cans and totally reconsider what we even think of as waste. It's a challenge, right? To look again at everything we're taught to just throw away. Food scraps, unused land, even chances to work together. And instead, to see the hidden potential for abundance that's all around us.